Okay, today we are diving deep into a concept that might completely flip how you view your own mind, and honestly, your potential for wealth. I want you to pretend, just for a second, that your mind is a top-of-the-line, lightning-fast supercomputer. Sounds great, right? But here is the catch. A computer is only as good as the software running on it. In this explainer, we're going to expose the invisible chains of what we call poverty programming. These are the invisible scripts that have probably kept you stalled for years. We're looking under the hood at your mind's operating system, an OS that, surprisingly enough, you didn't even install yourself.
So have you ever wondered why pure willpower never seems to break the cycle of struggle? Or why every single new self-help tip, budgeting hack, or grand ambition eventually just hits a brick wall? We push and we push, trying so hard to force these new wealth habits, but we usually just end up totally exhausted and exactly where we started. It's incredibly frustrating, isn't it? Well, here's the reality. Effort alone just won't cut it when your underlying system is fundamentally rejecting your commands.
I love this quote from our sources. Imagine being stuck like Chuck in a pickup truck, engine running, wheels spinning, but you're going nowhere. That literally hits the nail on the head, right? It perfectly captures the absolute pain of running on the wrong internal software. You've got the engine, your drive, your energy, your deep desire to succeed, and it is running at maximum capacity. The wheels are spinning furiously, but because the underlying code is flawed, you get absolutely zero traction. It is not a lack of effort on your part, it's a software compatibility issue.
To really grasp why this happens, we have to look at how your mental supercomputer is divided up. First, there's the manual mind. That's your conscious mind, your deliberate controller. Think of it like physically shifting gears in a manual stick-shift car. But then, right next to it, we have the automatic mind, your subconscious. This is your autopilot, and it runs your background operating system. And believe me, it's been charting your courses long before you ever even looked at a map.
Now, what is truly staggering is this number right here, 90%. 90% of your life, your decisions, and your daily results are dictated entirely by that automatic subconscious autopilot. You know, when you drive home from work and realize you barely remember the journey, that is your automatic mind taking the wheel. Now translate that exact same phenomenon to your financial decisions, your daily habits, and your fears. Your conscious mind thinks it's the one making the choices, but in reality, the vast majority of your life is being steered by background code. So if 90% of our actions are running on automatic, we really need to move into the diagnostic phase of our troubleshooting. Where did this faulty, struggle-based operating system actually come from? Let's unmask the hypnotic code.
Section 1. The malware. Unmasking the hypnotic code.
Okay, brace yourself, because we're introducing a pretty heavy term here, the cultural hypnotic societal mechanism. Yeah, it is quite a mouthful, but essentially, it's your mind's default factory settings. It is this sneaky background app shaping your reality, downloaded straight from external societal forces without your explicit consent. It acts exactly like a computer virus you didn't even notice, embedding these deep, deep beliefs about money, success, and your own potential long before you even had the critical thinking skills to filter them out. So where exactly does this sneaky download come from? Well, the sources are literally everywhere. Our schools, our churches, our parents, the media, and even the government. Look, none of us actively opted into this, but here we are, running someone else's code. If you've ever instinctively flinched at the word wealth, or if you've been subtly taught that wanting more is somehow greedy, well, that's the malware talking. Your mental software has been receiving continuous updates from literally everywhere but you.
And that brings us to an absolutely crucial and honestly somewhat uncomfortable question. Why does society program you for struggle in the first place? Well, according to our source material, it is not just random. It is a form of strategic social engineering. Think about it for a second. The cultural hypnotic societal mechanism is designed to make populations easier to manage. People who are incredibly healthy, financially wealthy, and courageous, they are just simply harder to manipulate or push around. But if you are constantly stressed out, worried about your bills, or agonizing over what other people think, you become much, much easier to control. Let's look at how the media handles this programming, because it's fascinating. We see a lot of overt messaging in our favorite superhero stories. Have you noticed how the villain is almost always the ultra-rich guy, like Lex Luthor or the Green Goblin, while the hero is the struggling underdog, like Superman or Spider-Man? But then there is the covert programming. Even when the heroes are rich, think Batman or Iron Man, the underlying message is usually that their wealth comes with these fatal moral flaws or a lack of actual organic superpowers. These stories covertly plant the belief right into your subconscious that wealth equals evil or moral compromise. So, what happens when we try to reject this code? Well, let's examine the error messages we get when we try to change and how we battle the subconscious firewall.
Section 2. The firewall.
Battling subconscious resistance. Have you ever felt this immediate wave of skepticism when hearing new ideas about prosperity or investing? That resistance right there is your paradigm. Your paradigm is your internal set of beliefs, and it acts like a strict user manual. It functions as a subconscious firewall. It triggers cognitive dissonance and confirmation bias to automatically block anything that conflicts with your original programming. When someone tells you that you can be wealthy, your paradigm auto-replies, "Nope, not for people like us." It's just fiercely protecting the old goad.
And this leads us to a massive fundamental truth of mental programming. New success software won't run on a failure operating system. Trying to force new wealth habits onto a subconscious that's literally coded for struggle, it is exactly like trying to install a brand new, cutting-edge app onto a computer running Windows 95. It simply crashes and burns. The system will always reject what doesn't perfectly match its base code.
But listen, upgrading isn't as simple as just clicking an update button. There is real, deep pain involved in uninstalling what we call cultural inheritance. Why is it so incredibly tough? Because these outdated scripts often feel like cherished family heirlooms. They are beliefs that were gifted to us by people we deeply love and admire, our parents, our favorite teachers, our pastors. Dismantling those beliefs requires stepping way out of your comfort zone, and frankly, it can kind of feel like a betrayal to your own identity.
So the crucial takeaway here is this. You absolutely must evaluate your unconscious competence. Look at people who seem to fail without even trying versus those who make greatness look completely effortless. Guys, it's not luck. It is simply what their autopilot has been practicing. Just like muscle memory in sports, your beliefs become automatic. So you got to ask yourself, are you mastering success right now, or are you just rehearsing failure on repeat without even realizing it? If you're tired of rehearsing failure, then it's time for an upgrade. Let's pivot to the actionable framework for upgrading your wealth operating system and stepping totally out of those poverty limits.
Section 3, the OS upgrade. The 4 levels of value.
Let's look at how this ladder builds. At step 1, right down at the bottom, we have implementation. This is using your physical muscles and your time. It relies on limited resources for limited returns, which is exactly why working harder alone keeps you broke. Then we move up to step 2, which is unification, or management. Now the pay is definitely better here, but your time is still capped. Real wealth truly begins at step 3, communication. Using your mouth to sell, inspire, or entertain removes those caps. And finally, at the very top, step 4, we have imagination. This is all about creating ideas that scale massively.
Operating at those top levels introduces a game-changing concept called resource leverage. This is when you start using intangible assets, specifically your mind and your imagination, to generate exponential gain. The source material calls this creating spiritual value. And what that means is producing results that are completely unlimited by physical time and space. You aren't just trading your hours for dollars anymore. You are trading ideas for wealth. But to actually reach those top levels, we have to initiate the reboot. This is the final deliberate process of intentionally reprogramming your automatic mind. Think of it kind of like spiritual disk swapping.
Section 4, the reboot. Spiritual disk swapping. Do you remember those clunky 1980s computers? Upgrading them meant slowly and manually swapping out floppy disks one by one. Well, your mind is actually the same way. To intentionally reprogram it, you need to follow these exact steps. First things first, cut out the TV. If you're making under $50,000 a month, watching other people live out their fictional dreams on TV is literally keeping you stuck. Instead, you need to feed your mind new beliefs every single day. Read books, skill stack, and most crucially, expose yourself to peers who have already upgraded their operating systems.
We definitely don't want to just leave you with a bunch of theory. We want to give you a real action step. It's time to start being the star of your own show. So carve out 30 minutes today, just 30 minutes, to actively challenge your old scripts. Spend that half hour reading a solid book, learning a brand new skill, or even just having a conversation with someone who is currently where you want to be. Override that factory reset button.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final pretty provocative question to chew on. Who benefits from you staying stuck? If your current operating system was installed by a society that finds you way easier to manage when you are struggling, then your breakthrough isn't just about the money, it is about reclaiming your own autonomy. In our next explainer, we'll explore how to neutralize the stealthiest forms of sabotage hiding right inside your daily routines. But until then, start swapping out those mental disks.